We're up to 5 hippos.
This one's a zombie.
We got so there's bull hippo, defiant great maw, pygmy hippo, rampaging hippo, and lazotep behemoth. It's the only one with no actual text to it.
You want to read that sweet flavor text, though, Patrick?
Okay. I know I should be more concerned, but a big blue zombie-potamus from beyond the stars, this is what they're invading us with? Maleva Boros Legionnaire.
It's really weird art, too.
I want to know the situation that led to the hippo being covered in lazotep.
Because probably storm. Hippos are violent and territorial creatures.
No, I agree.
True.
But it was like the lore on Amonkhet was that it was just like supposed to be the chosen hero,
like the best of the best, and it was like humanoid sapient beings, right?
And so does that mean that this hippo at one point was a champion in Amonkhet?
A champion of hippos, Patrick.
Did it go through the trials and pass them and stuff?
It might have if they had some gladiatorial spectacle where they pitted people against wild animals, and maybe this one had a really good showing. And
I want to see this hippo pass the trial of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's kind of like instead of elephants, they have hippos. Instead of war elephants.
I mean, that's totally fair. I just I want wizards. I want a story backdrop on this hippo. I want to know more about him or her. But I feel like this is something that the people want to know more about.
It also just really looks like a robot hippopotamus, like a golden blue
Beast Wars
robot hippo. It does, yeah. It reminds me of that.
You say there are 5 hippos, but there are also 4 hippogriffs. Do they count?
I mean, they're not creature type hippo.
That's a different thing.
So can't really.
It says hippo right there.
Yeah.
Is that the words meaning things again?
Yeah. I mean, it's technically. I want to make a Gryffindor deck where it's just griffins and doors.
It's Commander time! We are yet another podcast about the Magic the Gathering format known as Commander, Elder Dragon Highlander. We are the pace car of Commander podcasts. If you've made more episodes than we have, then you too are a real podcast. I'm Nate Burgess.
I'm Dean Goody.
And I'm Patrick Sapola.
And today we are talking about War of the Spark spoilers. Well, what we've seen of them so far. We haven't seen them all yet, but we've got stuff to say, don't we?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. But first, Dean, what's that? What's that say?
Ooh, EDH Rec and Architect are partnering up a little bit here. I guess I don't really know. You might know more details than I do, Nate. Did you have anything to do with this?
I did not. No, I didn't. I didn't have anything to do with this. Okay. So on Architect, if you're making your deck, it'll do recommendations on the fly, is what the thing is.
Oh. How fancy.
Yeah. Hooray, partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of partnerships, here's a patron shout-out to Dan Kraus.
What?
I've met that guy.
Yeah.
I talked to that guy in the CMDR Central chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over there.
Yeah, if you wanna join a good commander chat, throw a buck at the CMDR Central guys, because we're all basically in their chat more than we are in our own. But yeah.
It's true.
But not for the lack of trying?
Pay them to hang out with us.
Pretty much. That works.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
Mm.
And we will too.
Yeah. So, what's the top card so far of War of the Spark?
Well, currently mine is kind of split between Feather,
Okay.
and Mayhem Devil.
Mayhem Devil. That's a good one.
Yeah, nothing like getting people to sacrifice things and then dealing damage to them, and then making them do it again, and Feathers is just probably just going to be is probably the first Boros commander I'm going to build. So, that speaks pretty highly for it.
Okay. Did you have a Shu-Yun deck?
Yeah, it was that tokens build, but my best friend has a very tuned Shu-Yun list for 1v1, and when I mentioned about potentially building one, he looked a little aghast, so I kind of backed off.
Oh, territorial, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. As for Mayhem Devil, I do need to figure out what I'm going to cut from Vivictus Asmati to add Mayhem Devil. Because I want to deal 4 damage divided as I choose every turn. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I need to reread Mayhem Devil.
Yeah, every time...
Whenever...
Well,
here,
yeah,
I got it. Mayhem Devil. 1 black-red for a 3/3 creature devil. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target.
Yeah.
Whenever
that's
a
good.
player. Yeah, and it's cheap enough that you can cast it early and start getting in on some, Awakening Zone or From Beyond Eldrazi sacrifices, or maybe you're doing gold or treasure stuff, You can sacrifice those.
And at 3 mana, it can come down early enough when fetches are still being cracked.
Yeah, fetches too.
Are you running Goblin Bombardment in your deck, Nate?
Nope.
Okay. I have that in my list, so I might consider them an equal-ish trade if you were running them, but obviously you'd have to choose something else.
No, I think it's pretty cool when he does damage when my opponents do stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you did cut the Goblin Bombardment and you had him out with a sack outlet like Visceraseer or something like that, then Visceraseer just becomes a super Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah, I'm not too much into the Goblin Bombardment style.
Well, that's fair.
It's like red aristocrats,
It is.
Dean, what's your top card?
I'm going to go with Liliana Dreadhorde General.
Oh my goodness.
She just does all the good things that I like to do in EDH.
Which are...
Like what she do?
Yeah, I'm pulling her up right now to read her. 4 black for a 6 loyalty legendary planeswalker Liliana. She has a static ability. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Her +1 creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Her -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. And her -9 ultimate, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest.
So it's like a tragic arrogance.
Yeah, it's an effect that we've only seen in white up until this point. It's been shifted.
That's true, but it also hits lands, so it's extra nasty.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like a Death Cloud, I guess. A one-sided Death Cloud.
Oh no, I forgot about Bolas' Citadel.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, so that was one of my possible picks. Was Bolas' Citadel.
It is an artifact for 3 black. It's a legendary artifact, excuse me.
Ooh.
And it says, you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost.
Yeah.
And you can tap it, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life.
Okay, that last part's not as useful, but I think...
It self-destructs.
Well, you don't have to sacrifice it. You can sacrifice some
but
tokens or some treasures or golds or stuff like that.
That's true.
This card, you guys, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the being able to play the top card and paying life instead of mana. That's the part that's most important, I think.
So I am actually concerned that it might be bannable. It's pretty equitable to Yawgmoth's Bargain, which is banned and costs the same amount of mana.
Yeah.
And if you have Sensei's Divining Top out, then this literally just becomes Yawgmoth's Bargain. Pay 1 life, draw a card at sorcery speed.
Yeah, I was thinking of kind of comparing it to Ad Nauseam, except with Ad Nauseam, you're just paying life to put the cards in your hand. You're not paying life to directly cast them. Now, this does get stuck on lands if you have a string of more than one land on the top of your deck, then it stalls. But that's okay.
It's the reason why you run fetches and other shuffle effects when you have these kinds of cards.
That's where top comes into play, because top lets you draw the land, put the top back on top, pay 1 life to cast the top, put the top back on top to draw a card.
And then what happens?
Keep on doing it until you have your whole deck in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, consider this in a Shadowborn Apostles deck. You could theoretically cast all of your Shadowborn Apostles.
And I'm only running like 32 lands. It's a lot of mana for that deck, but it's a really good card. I don't know.
I'm thinking about it for rats.
It throws that curve, like just
and then
twist those panties right in a bunch.
Just says,
and
hey,
by those panties I mean the curve.
I know you missed those land drops 4 turns in a row, but
here they are now.
Here they all are now. But on the other hand, it is 6 mana.
Yeah, I know. I'm considering Liliana for Apostles, and same thing, 6 mana, just rough. There's actually a couple of good things in here for Apostles. What was the other one I was looking at? The new Sorin. The new Sorin. 2 white-black for a 4 loyalty Sorin Planeswalker. As long as it's your turn, creatures and Planeswalkers you control have lifelink. That's fine. +2 Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord deals 1 damage to target player or Planeswalker. And -X, return target creature card with CMC X from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a vampire in addition to its other types. I would basically just use it as a second copy of Liliana Defiant Necromancer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of these... There's a lot of Planeswalkers here. And I'm not...
There are 36, Nate.
Yeah.
37 if you include Tezzeret.
Yeah, not all of them have a plus ability or an ultimate. So for those, they have a passive ability and you can do 2 or 3 minus activations on them. So it's kind of like a weak enchantment that you can kill easier than an enchantment. And I think for a lot of these, the decks that are already doing the passive thing, they're going to want these Planeswalkers just for redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a lot of new design space, deck design space coming off of these.
Oh, I see.
No, I would agree with that. But on the other hand, it's for like Nekazar decks, having the new Ob Nixilis in there is just going to be another great source for just dealing that point of damage for each draw. These
and Davriel too.
Yeah, I mean these kind of effects are nice, and they're also nice when you have an additional bonus that can go along with them. These effects also don't tend to stick around for the most part anyway. People get angry when you deal them more than a lot of damage when they draw cards. Or, when all your creatures have haste, or each opponent can only cast spells only that when they could cast a sorcery. These things get targeted down anyway. So having another version of that in the deck isn't terrible.
Yeah, that new Teferi is pretty boss.
Yeah, I think of the uncommon Planeswalkers, I think I like the Wanderer the best. 3 and a white. Well, the best so far from what I've seen. 3 and a white, 5 loyalty, prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control, which is all your creatures. And you can -2 to exile a target creature with power 4 or greater. So this is, it protects you and it gets rid of threats. I think it's pretty cool.
She comes down and protects herself from big baddies. It's good.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd really like to highlight how clever Wizards was by doing the static abilities on all the Planeswalkers. And you'll notice that I don't think even the rare or mythic rare Planeswalkers so far create emblems. Except for... Okay, I take that back. Nissa makes an emblem. I think she's the only one so far. Anyway, just because uncommon and a bunch of uncommon and rare Planeswalkers making emblems would really, really increase the complexity of the set. So by sort of giving you the emblem on the face of the Planeswalker as a static ability, I thought that was really clever. And then, the allowing players to deal with it by attacking the Planeswalker to remove it, instead of having an emblem that literally cannot be interacted with.
Well, it is war. And in war, there are casualties.
There are a lot of casualties, actually. Especially when you've got a character named Massacre Girl.
Okay. Yeah, we're in the main topic by now. We just kind of wandered in there. Okay, so
wait, hold up.
We wander a lot.
There's a Nissa. I missed the Nissa spoil then.
And she's incredible. Ish. 5 loyalty Nissa Planeswalker for 3 GG. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional G, and then she animates lands, which is fine, and they get vigilance and haste. But her -8, you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them into play tapped, and then shuffle your library.
Oh. I like that.
Yeah. But you do have to turn a bunch of your lands into creatures with 3+1/+1 counters on them. They're not indestructible until she ults, so they're vulnerable up until that point.
Or you can doubling season all your forests into play.
Yes. You could do that. That would be a thing you could do.
Doubling season?
Yeah, maybe we should do an episode where we just talk about all the Planeswalkers, but probably after they're all actually officially spoiled. Back to Massacre Girl. Can we talk about this girl?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about Massacre Girl.
When are we gonna meet her?
Right now. So Massacre Girl is a very exciting legendary creature human assassin for 3 black. She's a 4/4 with menace. And she's got sort of a weird ability. When Massacre Girl enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So she's got sort of a cumulative, sort of a last laugh effect, if you're familiar with that enchantment. Last Laugh says that whenever a creature dies, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. And then when there are no creatures in the battlefield, sacrifice Last Laugh. So it's sort of a cascade of death.
Mm-hmm. So there does need to be some weenies on the field for it to start working.
I mean, at least a Llanowar Elf or something like that.
Or something that has already taken damage that turn.
That's pretty saucy, Patrick. I like it.
Yeah. Or you could play Living Plane or Cormus-Bell and Urborg and turn all the lands into 1/1s and then play Massacre Girl.
Why?
I don't know. I can't think of anybody who would do that.
That would kill all the lands and all the creatures except for Massacre Girl.
That's what I want to do.
But who would do that?
I don't know.
I mean, besides me and Nate,
who has a Cormus-Bell
and Don,
handy.
Not me.
I would.
So, this brings up an interesting topic. Something that I've been thinking about since Massacre Girl came out. Board wipes in the command zone. What do you guys think about that?
Commanders who are board wipes?
Commanders who are board wipes. This is a recent thing. This is not something...
Well, okay. Child of Alara.
Child of Alara, yes. But Child of Alara is not an immediate effect, necessarily, unless you have a sacrifice outlet.
Okay. Malthagor.
What does Malthagor do?
You discard your hand, and each opponent sacrifices the number of creatures as cards you're discarding.
Yeah, okay, that's that's a board wipe, I guess. It's hard to keep on using him, though. Like, it's not easy to abuse that, is it? Because you have to keep on refilling your hand.
Yeah.
But with Massacre Girl, if you are up to some, Gonti shenanigans, you could Massacre Girl multiple times a turn, couldn't you?
I mean...
it's enter the battlefield, so you don't need to cast her. So yeah, if you blink her, then... if you can keep blinking her, then you can keep racking up the -1s in the same turn.
Right. And then just in the set before this, we got Rakdos the Showstopper, who, when he comes into play, you flip a coin for each creature that is not a demon, devil, or imp, and destroy each creature whose coin comes up tails. And if you can get him to come into play, a couple of times a turn, or if you have Panharmonicon out with these guys, you're probably going to kill most of the board.
I just realized that Massacre Girl is a legendary creature. I thought,
yep.
I thought it was just like like Iron Bully. It didn't occur to me that it was her.
She
her
can
name.
be your commander.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
she's in the flavor text of some cards in the past.
She's in a story too. She I guess Massacre Girl is her serial killer pseudonym. That's what she goes by.
Well,
she throws confetti.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have to be killed, it may as well be festive.
I mean, that's Rakdos for you. Nate, you have a couple other ones on here too. Archangel Avacyn is the white Avacyn that flips into the red Avacyn that deals 3 damage to each thing when she transforms, right?
Yeah, and Ashling the Pilgrim. Both of those are circumstantial board wipes. You probably need to put some Death Touch equipment on both of them. And for Ashling, you need to have enough mana to do it. And
a sack outlet?
No, not Ashling, you don't. Well, Avacyn you do.
Avacyn you need, yeah.
And I also had Slyn Voda, the Rising Deep. He does like a whelming wave.
Yeah, but he's also, you have to cast him to get the thing, right? Because he's got oh god, what is it called?
Kicker.
He's got kicker.
Yeah, you gotta kick him.
Yeah, so when he comes into play, if you kicked him, you get to bounce everything.
Yeah, anything that's not a sea creature type that's listed in the types that he's got.
Right. So all of these other ones have some extra setup, but with Rakdos and Massacre Girl, you can just keep on blinking them, reanimating them, flickering them, casting them, whatever, making a copy of them, a token copy of them, and theoretically, you can rat the board each turn, which sounds fun, but it also sounds really oppressive and abusive. I'm not sure how healthy it is for the format, honestly. I know. That's a pretty hot take. But I just wrote an article about Rakdos for my new series, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit silly, but it's also potentially pretty nasty. Like, literally, you can flicker Rakdos once or twice a turn, or even once or twice a round, and if you do that, no one else is going to get a board, and you can just do whatever you're going to do. Like, everyone else is going to be locked out.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun. But, this is now our second legendary creature that has an ETB board wipe type of effect on it. And I'm just wondering how many more WotC has in the works.
6.
9.
Ah! Curses.
Yeah, but they're going to get increasingly worse.
You guys are under NDA, so...
How about the new Neheb, Dreadhorde Champion?
He's interesting.
He's 2 red, legendary creature, zombie minotaur warrior. He's got 3 types. Trample, 5/4. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. So it's better if you have a full hand when you do it. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red mana. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
I really like him with Alhammar's Archive.
That's a good point. I mean, that's a card that needs to get played more often.
Discard 3 cards, draw 6 cards. Okay, I'm down.
You can draw 12 next time.
Yep. Super good.
Yeah, I think he works in any deck that already has Neheb the Eternal in it. He works in any deck that's doing wheels, like Nekuzar or Locust God or Arjun the Shifting Flame, or who else is doing wheels in red? The wheelie guys. Anyway.
I mean, he's pretty good in Boros, too, especially if you're running... Oh, no, never mind. This is not a symmetrical wheel. But yeah, he's still pretty decent in Boros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the decks that already have the other mono red Neheb are going to have another mono red Neheb to put in there.
They're going to be like brothers.
Or the same guy in different timelines that are crossing and overlapping a little bit.
I actually like him for reanimator builds, putting certain key cards in the graveyard and then reanimating them.
Yeah, that would work for a... Well, you still have to attack with him.
Could you stack the Sun Titan trigger if you put him in a Boros deck? So you wheel away what you want and then Sun Titan reanimates it?
Doesn't Neheb say deal damage?
Neheb does need to deal combat damage before it happens.
My mistake. So the answer is no, you could not stack those triggers. They happen during different parts of the combat.
Yeah. Different timelines crossing and overlapping each other, as I was saying, in the multiverse War of the Spark. What's next?
Looks like Feather. Feather was just spoiled today. She's very exciting as far as Boros Legends go. She's very unique. She costs...
Red, white, white.
Red, white, white. For a 3/4 flying angel.
That's cheap.
Very cheap. That's actually just cheap for a legendary creature in general. I do like that for Curve. And she says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So she's sort of a Tiana Ship's caretaker for instants and sorceries.
Or Zada Hedron Grinder in red-white.
Well, Zada doesn't recur them. Zada copies them for everybody. But I do think Zada would go in this list.
Yeah, they're going to use a lot of the same spells.
Yes.
Speaking of which, there is a theme page for that. edhrec.com/themes/pump. And it's talking about all the cards that, instants and sorceries that just pump up the stats of a creature to smack somebody with.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of that specifically, I'm a little bit worried that...
Find out what Dean's a little bit worried about on the next Commander Time.
You can find me on Twitter at Grubfellow.
At Detective Yarmus.
At Mr. Plorg.